Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live stream. This is going to be exclusively on YouTube today. I'll explain a little bit of that here as we get going. We're going to do a little bit of American Truck Sim today. A game I've been playing probably way too much of, really, considering what it is. But this is going to be relatively short because of the following reasons I will talk about here in just a little bit. The handy thing about YouTube, once again, is that once you stream, it automatically gets uploaded. So there is that. Pretty nifty, pretty neat. It's been a while since I've been over here. But let's go ahead and hopefully I'm going to transition this and we can get started. I tried to do this a little bit ahead of time, so hopefully that works out the way it should. So I just switched over. OBS is showing it correctly. After streaming on Mixer for so long, you also kind of end up missing the latency. I have it on normal latency, which seems to be, we're at least half a minute delay, if not a little bit more. So if anybody starts talking in chat, that will be why I don't respond for nearly as long. They do have options for for low latency and ultra low latency. I did not try those, because I was having issues getting streams to start this morning. So we are going to do a trip here. I've already picked it up. I just need to get going with it. And we could talk about some of the things here in the game a little bit as we go as well. But we're going to go ahead and just get going on the road. Hopefully the volume's not too incredibly loud. I might have to turn that down if that's the case. So American Truck Sim ends up being on sale quite a bit, and so it's a game you could pick up for a pretty good price, and so I picked it up on the summer sale, I believe. That is very, very loud. I'm just kind of looking at the readouts over there on OBS. So let's bring the master volume just down to like half, and we'll see kind of how that goes. Might have to bring it down lower than that at some point. Alright, that's a little bit more reasonable. I just want to make sure that I'm able to talk above the volume. I'm bringing it down just a tad bit more, but we're definitely in the right realm. So I say that, and then I bring it down to like a quarter of what we started at. Alright, so start up the truck. We are going to be bringing trucks. We are driving a Peterbilt. We're bringing 3 Kenworths, sorry. Looking at the map and looking at what we picked up here, we're in the very far corner here of New Mexico, in a town called Hobbs, and we're bringing that all the way up to Oakland in California. So we're going to be passing through mostly cities I've visited, so things in yellow are things that I've been to. Things in gray, including roads and cities, are things that I have not yet traveled. As you can see there, I've explored approximately somewhere in that 41% range of the map. I have currently all of the available DLCs in terms of the maps, so that includes all of these states that you see here. There will be Utah coming out at some point here in the future. That's a DLC that they've announced. They haven't actually done anything with it quite yet. So this trip is going to be approximately 1,300 miles. Trip time is 24 hours. Obviously, time moves faster in this game, so it's not going to really take 24 hours to get there. But we will make it as far as I feel like I can for today for the purposes of this live stream. Ideally, we make it there. Who knows if we will. Because I might have to stop at some point. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll kind of go over some of the things with American Truck Sim for people that don't know what it is here shortly. So we turn on the lights, and I think we're just going to go ahead and get going, getting into the cockpit here. So you're going to see the screen, or the thing at the bottom right, and that has kind of the GPS on it. It shows the, oh, I don't have a mouse cursor in this mode, do I? What if I pause it? I do. Okay, so if I pause it, I have a mouse cursor. All right, so I'll have to like pause it and then move these things around. So on this GPS screen, you can see my current speed in case you can't see it down here on the dashboard. But that's going to be your speed. That's going to be the gear I'm in. This is vehicle damage, so there's a little tiny bit of red there at the bottom. The red doesn't necessarily indicate where the damage is. It's a percentage-based thing. As far as I can tell, it doesn't really matter what type of damage you actually have. It all just kind of adds up into one number that they just, I guess, take into consideration. Fuel is next. I am right around or just over half of a tank left, so I'll need to stop and fill up at some point. The next meter is like where you're at in terms of your sleep cycle, and this lights up if you have some form of mail or email, I should say. Navigation is down below. I can control how far zoomed out or zoomed in I am. I usually like to keep it on this setting. And so this will kind of lead you with the GPS to where you're supposed to go. This shows your ETA, so if I were to go basically 24 hours straight through, the 24 hours and 45 minutes it estimates it's going to take, I'll get there Monday at 5:42. It's currently Sunday 4:57 a.m. 13, and it tells you how many miles you got left and the estimated amount of time. That will change depending on if we have to stop for fuel, if we have to stop for way stations, that sort of thing. And then you have these other tabs too. This one will tell you how much money the current job is going to show you. So if you go back here, this is how much money I currently have in the bank, which is $178,156. I have other like AI drivers in my fleet, so they will make me money over time. So that number may go up as I drive, and I do currently have a loan on the company, so that'll come down once a day. If you go over to this tab, that's still the amount of money I have. It's confusing because it puts it right next to the current job, but the job income is down here. So I'm going to get paid $99,000 for this one load, which will be added to that once I complete it. So it's telling you what the cargo is, how much it weighs, what the destination is going to be, when it's expected. So in this game, it gives you the window, but really you only need to pay attention to the last number. From what I understand, there is no penalty for dropping off early in terms of income, maybe for the experience, but I guess I haven't really paid attention to that too much. You might get more XP if you're within the window as opposed to dropping it off early. It doesn't usually happen. It usually times out pretty well that you're there within that time span. That's how many hours remains on the job itself. So it's basically doing the math from now until this end time. So I have 59 hours to do it, and then this is my next rest stop. So that little gauge up there with the bed, basically that's a numerical value for that. So the clock starts at 14 hours each day, I believe. And so I've already driven for a few hours on this particular day. And so I need to stop and rest at that point. If that gets to 0, your guy starts to get tired. Well, he starts to get tired a little bit before that, but once you hit that, your guy has a chance to kind of black out, and you might crash into something. And and you also get fined. So if you come across the cops, they will fine you. This screen will tell you about your damage. So currently I have no damage on the trailer /load. And this is for the actual damage of the goods in the trailer. This number you want to keep at 0. Obviously, this number you want to keep low too. But both of these numbers will go up just as you drive. So it's not necessarily that I've hit anything to get to 9%. In fact, I can show you an example of what this is, because if I go to this diagnostics screen in here, it will show you what makes up my damage. So I have 0% on the engine, transmission, the chassis, and the cabin, meaning I haven't gotten in any accidents. And actually, there's a little bit of damage on these, but that's just normal wear and tear. As you can see, though, it makes up 0%, so it hasn't actually added up to a whole lot. The vast majority of my damage, the 9%, comes from the tires, and that's just general wear and tear off the tires. So at some point, I'll need to stop by a shop, and they'll take care of all this damage, or I can select which things I want them to fix. It always makes more sense just to have them fix everything, because your co-insurance is, to fix anything, is $200 or 2% of the cost. And most of the time, the cost isn't going to get high enough that you even reach the 2%. So it's just $200, and you get everything taken care of, and it gets reset back to 0. I've done a lot of talking, though, especially for something that I'm probably going to end up re-explaining again in the future. And so let's get going. So the engine's already started. I already turned on the lights. Let's get back to this screen, which I like to have on, and we're going to put it into gear. We're going to let off the parking brake, and we're going to get going. So I can move my head around the cabin kind of like this. I do occasionally switch to the outside screen as well to kind of get a grasp of where I'm at. So I don't do this like like full RP mode where I only stick inside the cabin. I'll do whatever I feel like. Alright, so we're gonna pull out of here and get going. And so a load like this, it's not considered a extra wide load or anything. It's just kind of a long load, but it does hinge pretty well because each truck will hinge behind me as I go. So the other things to watch out for is on the screen down below on the GPS, you see the number 35. That is the current speed limit considering where I'm at. So I want to make sure to keep my speed at or below that. And I do have cruise control that I can set as well to get that going. Oh, I nearly went on a red light. But yeah, I've driven every brand of truck so far in this game. I've really liked pretty much all of them so far. It's not so much that I have a favorite brand of truck. I have a style that I prefer one over the other. I prefer this style truck, which it doesn't have the super long like hood on it or like engine compartment. It's just kind of the standard one like that. The other one that I have tried, and I wasn't a super huge fan, was the kind of boxier front one, which actually you'll see an example right up here at this light. Like those guys over there, like that we're just about to turn by. If they have the kind of that boxier front, it actually makes a difference in terms of what it looks like here in the cab, and it just kind of restricts the view. So I'm not a super huge fan of that. So going kind of back to what I was initially going to talk about, I decided to stream over here on YouTube exclusively today because for one, I was in the mood to stream, and I went over to the Mixer channel, and it's been long enough since I've been over there that like as soon as I hit the like what was it, like the broadcaster tab or whatever, it basically played me an intro video of like, oh hey, these are the rules, this is how you stream. And then I was like, okay, so I watched that, and then it's like, step 2, this is how you get a stream key. I'm like, shouldn't I already have a stream key? Well, apparently they reset the stream key, and they make it so you have to basically go through a tutorial. And the dumb thing about the stream key is that you have to basically apply for it. So you hit the button, and it says that it could take up to 24 hours in order for you to receive your stream key. Which I find odd. I'm like, you know, I haven't streamed over there for a while, but at the same time, I'm not completely new to the platform, and I've never had any issues over there before. So there really shouldn't be any reason for them to withhold the stream key for me. I don't know. Seems a little confusing to me, but whatever. So that's why I'm over here. But, you know, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I mean, I do like YouTube as kind of a backup one. I mean, there's a lot of good positives to it. You know, for one, you already automatically have access to your like subscriber base on YouTube, but on top of that, it's like it automatically exports as a on-demand video afterwards. And I've said this all along. I've always loved the like broadcaster tab on here, where it shows the chat and it shows kind of all of your controls. And what I really like is it tells you kind of the health of your stream while you're doing it. All right, so we're just kind of cruising along here. We're gonna be hanging a left up here pretty quick. And so yeah, we've barely made a dent so far. We're still just over 24 hours. So we've taken off about 45 minutes or so, if I recall. So that's about how fast time moves. We've killed about 45 minutes in a matter of a few minutes of actual driving. So this 24-hour trip, this could take us a little bit. Obviously not 24 hours, but it could take us more than an hour or so. Maybe longer, who knows. So we're gonna go over here. So these roads over here, this is my first time being in this corner of New Mexico. The roads are pretty calm over here, which is nice, especially when you're kind of hauling these kind of awkwardly sized and length loads. You can also hide the little navigation thing down there. There is a GPS on the dash, and that can vary from truck to truck. So if you want to go full RP, you could turn that off. You can also turn off the mirrors. I put them on the screen, but you can also just kind of utilize those mirrors, especially if you have a multi-monitor like setup. which I've never actually tried with my computer, but I certainly could at some point in the future. And if I have a wide enough field of view, then I can just turn those off. And I have a button that basically recenters my view back to centered. I like to use that. And it's a quick way too. So if you're out here, kind of moving around, I can quickly go back in here with no problems. All right. Well, we need to get up to speed. I've been kind of slacking and being slow. So I can turn on my cruise control, and you can see the light lit up on my dashboard, and I can actually increase the speed of my cruise control once I have it set. So I'll set it to 65, which is the speed limit. I typically don't speed in this game. For one, because I probably wouldn't in real life as well, and you know, for the purposes of like conducting business and doing your job. All right, so we got to slow down. So we're going to slow down to 55, then 35. And so my vehicle is slowing down. I'm using the engine retarder to reduce speed. I'm not actually using the brakes. That's why it's taking a little bit longer for it to go. But yeah, so, and then the gauges on the dash, they all actually work, and they all actually represent something. So the fuel is going to be the one in the lower left. That's the small one there, so it's just over half. I also have the basically digital display. The digital display is currently set on fuel as well, so that bar, like right in the middle of the screen, that's going to show how much fuel we have left. So we're just under half a tank now. And it's hard to read, and it might just be the graphics settings I have set, and I might need to bump them up, because my computer can handle higher settings. It says 689 miles, I believe. I probably shouldn't have done that. That's a... You don't want to leave... Oh, we're perfect. We're like just perfectly over the train tracks. I was kind of worried there for a second that maybe we messed up a little bit. Probably should have just pulled in and fueled up there. Oh well. Alright. Let's keep on moving, shall we? These lights move kind of fast, so you kind of have to get a move on. And we're, you know, looking at how much time's gone by too. We're down to 23 hours, 24 minutes until we get there. It's not doing too shabby. We'll look over here at this tab. We got 9 hours, 51 minutes till our next stop. So usually around the 3 to 4 hour mark in terms of how much time I have left to sleep, that's when I like to start planning kind of where I'm going to stop for the night. Chances are, and a lot of times I will fuel up and sleep at the same location, because a lot of times you're stopping at truck stops or gas stations. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for. I have relatively large tanks on this. Like I said, I can still go like 680 something odd miles right now on this tank of fuel, and I only have 1,200 miles on this entire trip. So really, I can make it over halfway there before I have to fuel up. So I should easily be able to make it to my next sleeping point on the fuel that I have. And honestly, I didn't fuel up after my last trip down here, so that's why maybe it's starting to run a little bit low. And so there may be portions of this where I do go kind of silent, and that's because this is one of those games where, for one, there's just a lot of... it's a lot of doing the same thing, so there won't be a lot for me to commentate on anyway. And two, honestly, you know, having watched some of the videos and some of the streams with this game, honestly, I'm one of those that I do kind of enjoy the quiet times as well. And you can just kind of hear the sounds of the engine and motor and not have to worry a whole lot about the rest of it. So I think we're going to probably enter one of those times here to start with. We're just going to kind of go and drive along, and I'll come back with some more commentary if and when I need to. Jesus, I've never had that happen before. Went way too fast around that corner. Alright, I'm getting penalized pretty heavily. Alright, let's get going the right direction again. And take a look at what we did. Like I said, that has never happened before. I was going way too fast for the conditions and turned that corner. Alright, let's turn on our hazards here. We're going to stop and assess ourselves. Pop the parking brake and turn our transmission to neutral. Alright, let's take a look. So we have damaged the truck up to 12%. The it says trailer is 1, but the cargo is at 0. I don't know how that quite works because in this particular case, our trailer is pretty much the cargo. Oh, well, I guess there's a little bit of a trailer underneath that very first one. The car behind me is getting really angry. And if we were to take a look at the diagnostics, we would be at... So now you can see the chassis and the cabin also make up quite a bit. So now we are at the point where our total is more than $200. So wheels are 11, cabin's 9, chassis 12. So yeah, these things are kind of adding up a little bit. So we'll need to, at some point, go to the shop and get that taken care of. All right, we're going to get a move on. Looking at the map real quick, so we are about to enter a new town, and so we can kind of look at the amenities here. There is no shop. So far, my truck doesn't seem to be actually performing any worse for kind of doing a little bit of that turn. I thought I was going to flip it, honestly. That's how it felt. There's a place to fuel up if we need to, but I'm gonna wait to do that until we probably sleep. That, or I want to wait for a more opportune area to do that. We'll see. Basically, I'll probably fill up at the very first gas station that seems easy to get in and get out, because that's sometimes the problem, is getting in and out of places when you're currently carrying a load. In terms of a shop, it's a red icon right here. So it's a red wrench icon. So we could probably pop in and maybe hit one side and then maybe the other. Just kind of depends on what we're looking at there. And go from there. So and you can drop these markers on the map. So I can do something like that, and it'll make sure to tell me on the GPS to get off on that exit. We'll fuel up there, or fix up our stuff there, possibly fuel up, we'll see. Then we'll jump back on the highway and head off into the distance. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So part of this is about planning as well. So I'm going to take it a little bit more careful around these corners. I've never driven this portion of the map before. As I said before, this road is new to me. But I'm going to take it a little bit easier on the corners, and we'll go back to listening to the game. Something else that maybe you've noticed is that sometimes when we're going down these hills, you'll see that my speed goes basically above to the point where I'm speeding. If you have a truck, such as this one, the transmission has a retarder on it. Basically, what that will allow us to do in this game is that if I have the cruise control on, set for 55 in this case, and if the retarder kicks in once you kind of exceed the speed you have set by like 2 or 3 miles an hour, and at that point it basically tries to act as a brake. It's using the transmission to help slow down the vehicle. Not to be confused with your Jake brake. That's your engine brake. In this game you do have that as well, and so it has a different icon on the dash and sounds different. So that is the engine brake going. As you can see, my speed is decreasing. It's not nearly as fast, but it does the job. Alright, so this road's going to be expanding out. I like to hang out in the right lane. Much like real life, solar vehicles tend to go to the right, so that's what we're going to do. And there we go, we discovered a new town. The nice thing about discovering new towns is, for one, there's kind of the achievement side of it. But then, like, in the future, I can accept different different loads from these towns. Like, when you haven't discovered a town, it doesn't show up in your, like, freight manager. So you can only take loads from towns that you've actually visited. And that's kind of what we're doing here too. If I remember right, I don't think I've actually been to, well, is this, oh, okay, this could be Oakland, alright. And I think I've been to Oakland before. Yeah, you can see the yellow on the highway there. For some reason I thought it was going to be San Francisco, but I must have got that wrong. Yeah, Oakland. Alright. So we're good there. We just had an engine malfunction. My engine turned off. So we're obviously a little bit more damaged than I thought. So yeah, it's a good thing we have that plan to stop by a shop. This game does give you the ability, if you go under this F7 menu and looking at the damage, it says there at the bottom, it says view services and adjustments, you hit enter. I'm not going to hit it, but if you do, it brings up the option to like call a tow truck, essentially. and so you can actually get yourself towed to the nearest shop. Same thing if you were to run out of gas or something. Like, it just gives you that option there. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because the broadcast viewer over on YouTube's telling me that my bitrate is way too high. And maybe that's an issue. I've been streaming with too high of a bitrate. Then again, I need to look at that again because I think I set the bitrate higher back. I mean, it's been a while, but I set it high back when I was streaming on Mixer more, which I'm going to be going back to that. Just, it wasn't available today per the reasons I said earlier. And maybe I got it all wrong, but I thought I had to have a higher bitrate set. It's saying that I have like over double the bitrate. I need to educate myself on what all that means again, and what levels I actually really need it at. Alright, so speed limit here is 70. It's expanding out to 3 lanes. As you can see down there in the corner now, we just brought in some income from one of our drivers. So the income from the drivers, it's not going to be nearly as high as like what we make. So like I said, on this particular job, we're going to get $99,000, which seems maybe high compared to like the $1,200 we just got there. But the thing is, as the owner of the company, like, we're having to pay their wages for one, but we're also paying for like insurance and upkeep on the vehicles that they drive, as well as fuel. So that those are things that we have to consider as well when we're looking at those numbers. All right, let's set the cruise, and we're on a major highway, so there really shouldn't be as many like steep turns, so I should be able to go up to the full speed on the cruise control. So yeah, the problem I had with that area back there when I kind of had my little accident is I was going the speed limit, but you know, the thing you have to remember is that it's a speed limit in terms of when you'd get a ticket. Trucks will sometimes have to go a lot slower, you know, once you consider what they're actually hauling, and the turns. So like with those turns, I should have been going probably a good 15-20 miles an hour slower at the time that I got in an accident. So we're going to be slowing down, 5 miles an hour here. There we go. And we're actually taking this exit, so I'm going to reduce speed and take the exit towards Albuquerque. And the speed limit on here is 55, but I'm going to watch my speed very carefully, especially since, as you can see up here, this exit will actually split. It's kind of narrow through here too, so we got to be kind of careful. We can use a little bit of the area over the line if we have to. The lines for things like that I look at as kind of suggestions sometimes. Not exactly a super bad thing if you have to go over them a little bit. Alright. Take it easy on the accelerator a little bit, coming around this corner. And once we kind of hit the straightaway, we should be able to kind of go full power. Alright, I'll be back with you once we reach our shop. Alright, back a little sooner. So those areas that you see that have either the arrows like you just saw, or some roads will have X's across them. There are areas that you can't go beyond, and as you saw on the map, like the roads didn't extend any further. The computer drivers can pass through them because that, you know, to make it more realistic. But there are areas that you can't go. So there's just nothing going on over there. Just it wouldn't be very realistic if the road just ended right there. So it is drawn off into the distance a little bit further, and the computers will go out that direction, then they despawn. So should almost be there. Let's take a look at our map here. We're not making as fast a progress as I would like. So yes, the exit's coming up right around the corner. We'll hit that, and then I need to look at my time again and see where we're at, but it might be worth at least filling up. We'll see. Once we get the truck stopped, we'll look at the map a little bit closer. The key is looking down the road and knowing that we have right now about 5 hours, but by the time we stop and get ourselves repaired, we're going to have a lot less time than that. So we have to kind of look at, you know, well, where can we stop in a reasonable amount of time? Because we don't want to go over our drive time. Because, like I said, you start to get fined at that point, and on top of that, you don't want to black out and then accidentally crash into something and have a far worse accident than what we already had. Alright, so we're going to go over here. Now, when you go to these shops, you have the ability to heal, or I say heal, like it's a real living thing. You have the ability to fix up your truck as well as the trailer. Alright, we'll see if it finds me. Sometimes it finds you by going right on red, and sometimes you're good, so. I wasn't fined, so that's a good sign. Also, it's kind of inconsistent. I don't know if you get fined only when there is a police car in the area, or not. I feel like I've seen it both ways, but I think that could just be that, the cop cars sometimes will hide on you as well. Alright, so let's go turn to this. We have to go into that marker in order for it to heal us up there. Let's try to come at it from the side so you don't have to back up afterwards. Alright. So we're going to do that. We're going to put it in neutral. We're going to set the brake. I'm just going to turn the truck off. So it's not super realistic. From what I understand, it doesn't actually pass any time to do that. So you can configure your truck. So that's like if you want to change any, like, make any alterations or whatever. We are here for truck maintenance and repairs. So we are going to... Okay, so we can't actually repair the trailer because the trailer's not ours. So you can repair the trailer if you're hauling a trailer that you bought. In this case, yeah, we've done some damage to the trailer. But that's fine. It's very minimal anyway. The biggest thing is we want to make sure our truck is able to run. So it's $11,000 worth of damage. It's $234. That's really actually not that bad, considering I have 182,000 right now. So we're going to still be above 182,000. And now we're back to zeros. And if we exit out of here, if I recall, yeah, time doesn't pass. So we'll start the engine back up again. Oh yeah, we were going to take a look at... I don't know why I just turned the engine off again. We need to take a look, too. So if we have just over... What did I say? We're somewhere between 4 and 5 hours right now. So we can go over there and we can fuel... What's our next fuel station? So there is a combo there, but I feel like we're probably not going to sleep there. If we have 4 hours left, we could probably make it... I guess that's not much further, but we could either make it there... We might be able to make it over here and maybe do both at the same time. I'm going to mark this down on the map. Does it still have our other point still? No, it does not. It's just saying a number 2, so I don't know what that's about. I can't navigate this map. All right, so we're going to do that and see. Oh, now, and then I put a 1 on the table, or on the map. Weird. All right. That looks good to me. Let's get moving and we'll kind of evaluate again because we have plenty of fuel. Like, it doesn't look like much, quarter tank, but all right. And actually, tell me to go that way. We're actually going to go right and jump back on the interstate this way. it will be faster. And it just updated on my map since I'm kind of facing this direction. So it won't usually advise you to it won't advise you to do any like U-turns or anything. Like it wants you to take streets when you're able. So that's why it would have had me going the other direction. Because it thought I was going to go straight on the road, but it didn't know I was pulling into a parking lot. Alright, so we're going to jump back on. We're going to kind of run this yellow light, which is fine with me. And here we go. We're going. So 4 hours, 49 minutes. Honestly, that didn't take as much time off the clock as I thought it would. It was a very quick stop. And like I said, maybe one of the inaccuracies of this game, like it would be interesting if you did repairs, it took X number of hours, or maybe it's X number of hours per percent that it repairs. I don't know. But I feel like there's an opportunity there to make the game more realistic or a little bit harder by doing it that way. Alright, so let's go ahead and set the cruise control. Once again, we're on the interstate, so let's go for the full amount, 75 miles an hour. And keep going. My lights are still on. Everything's looking good. Big old truck stop off to the left. You see those like 3 bed signs? And that's like the only things out there. It's not where we're going to be stopping. We're certainly not going to get done with this job today. I think we'll make it to wherever we're going to stop for the night, and I think we're just going to call it there. Nice thing is that, honestly, it shows that, you know, YouTube streaming is a viable option. For one, it's nice and easy. Highly recommend it. But, you know, we're going to go back for the lower latency over on Mixer for next time. So Loan just came out. That is $5,700 a day, which honestly it's not so bad. And maybe once we park, I'll actually go over kind of what I have in terms of garages and stuff like that. Okay, this guy's going really slow. Let's try to get over. We're gonna cut this guy off, but look, and then it speeds up. Look at that. It's going super fast now. Jesus, isn't that's so realistic to real life though. I think everybody's had one of those times where you go to pass somebody and their response is to speed up and like prevent you from doing so. I don't know, we might be able to make it a little bit further than the place I plopped down on the map. Because we're already getting to that point now that I was initially thinking about stopping. We're 4 hours and we've gone like an extra 35, 40 minutes from the last town, so we made it a lot further than I thought. Alright, let's set that again for 75. That way the computer can just take care of the speed for me, and I can concentrate the best I can on driving. So, you know, a lot of people for this game, they, you know, have a steering wheel or some kind of racing setup. For me, I am playing with an Xbox controller because it's one step above playing with keyboard and mouse, especially with something like this, because I have a little bit more control and smoothness to my steering, as I'm intentionally weaving right now. But it's not super jerky, which is nice, because you go keyboard and mouse and it's like this. And so I'm able to have a little bit more control, which is nice. And as a result, I don't manually shift gears. I have it basically set on automatic, so it's going to do that for me. The one thing I do manually is I do shift it from like drive into neutral into reverse. I have to set brakes and stuff like that. So basically and there is no stick actually visible here in this truck, but for the purposes of things, I just for RP purposes, imagine that everything that I buy and drive is an automatic, which wouldn't be too far off. I mean, honestly, automatic trucks are becoming more prominent in the trucking industry anyway, so. And this actually might be designed to be automatic. I'm not entirely sure. Then again, this could be one of those games where maybe it's rendered in if you have it set on manual. That'd be something interesting to find out. I don't know. But honestly, this game's very, very playable with just an Xbox controller or just controller of some kind. Because at least you have a stick in order to steer, which is great. Honestly, if I had to play this with strictly a keyboard and mouse, I don't think I'd really enjoy it at all. It'd be way too jerky. I mean, not that it isn't jerky already, but it'd be 10 times worse. 100 times worse, maybe. The other thing, too, is that because I'm using an Xbox controller, my, like... well, I use PlayStation terminology because I'm more of a PlayStation person for consoles, but basically the L2 and R2 triggers, essentially, they're triggers, so you can... The nice thing is that for acceleration and for braking, you can also control how strong or weak that is, as opposed to keyboard where you're either all on or all off, which makes it a lot nicer. All right, we're gonna be hitting a way station coming up here. I wonder if we'll get stopped. Even though I turned down the volume for the game, it's probably still gonna be really loud. Find out here in a second. It'll pop up like around the GPS. It'll either have a green light or a red light. Green light we can bypass, red light we have to stop in and get weighed. We're gonna find out, we're gonna pass under it here in just a second. There it is. Alright, it's red, so we have to start reducing speed. Turn signal on, we have to head on in. And that wasn't as loud as I thought it was gonna be. Alright. Reduce speed. We have to be down to 15. Alright, we can speed a little bit. That's fine. Alright, so it's saying stop on the scale. So once again, most things in this game, if they want you to stop somewhere, there's some kind of icon above it, or at the very least, there's something on the ground indicating where you need to stop. So I'll turn on my hazards. Four-way flashers, so to speak. So we're going to stop there, hit A. It tells you the weight of your vehicle and says you're good to go. I've never had it say anything other than you're good to go, so I don't know if that's an option for it to be like, hey, you need to pull around back and actually get inspected. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. I don't think so, because I would think that by now I would have had to do that at least once. Alright, so that exit with the fuel and bed, that's coming up here pretty quick. We have 360 something odd miles left on our tank. Let's take a look. We still have 2 hours 53 minutes on our sleep timer. Let's go into here and see if there's anywhere relatively close. No. The thing is, I might be able to make it over here, but I don't want to be pushing it, and there's no reason for me to do that. So we're going to stop at this, what appears to be some kind of rest stop here. And we'll stop there for the night. And honestly, it ends up being about an hour-long live stream at that point, which is perfectly fine with me. Especially after having not live streamed for... I don't even know what my last one was, to be honest. Obviously long enough ago that Mixer doesn't trust me, and I have to go through, like, application process even just to stream. It seems weird that they're doing that, though. Like, what are they looking for exactly? Like, for that up to 24-hour waiting period, what are they looking for? Or I wonder if it's just a way to, like, prevent, like, little kids / young teenagers from just, like, starting to stream all willy-nilly and saying a bunch of offensive things and doing a bunch of crap. I guess you have to worry about that. I mean, it is now owned, I mean, it has been for a while, but it's owned by Microsoft, so you do have to kind of worry about the kids and the nasty things that can come as a result, because Xbox and teenagers. But it's like, you know, you have that stuff to worry about on YouTube as well, and Twitch, so I don't know. It's a weird thing, I don't know. And maybe I'm just saying that because they're, like, making me go through it. And it's like, I've streamed hundreds of hours on the platform before, like, to say I have to go through, like, extra validation again just seems weird to me. I've also thought about potentially doing, like, some kind of restream or multi-stream, and also pushing it out to YouTube at the same time. I'm definitely not decided on any of that so far, but for one, I'd have to actually stream regularly. And as it goes anymore, I'm so busy, I can't even, I don't even want to remotely try to make any promises, because that just never works out. Like, so for me to say, like, oh, I want to try to stream this day and this day, like, no, it doesn't work that way. Alright, so this is one way only, so that's the exit, this must be the entrance. It's nice setup, actually, when they do these, because there's one, you know, when you enter, you're going right to the fuel pumps. We could fill up on fuel, and then we go around the back to the parking. Alright, we're going to turn on our four ways. We're going to stop. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. Alright, put it in neutral, set the brake. Oh, you gotta turn off the engine. But it's like, it's not super realistic because it's like, in real life, it'd be a much bigger area, so your load wasn't about to stick into the street. Alright, and pretty much once your engine's off, you just sit there and you hold the A button, and it'll start filling up, and it speeds up. There it goes. So this could be really expensive because I was down to like a quarter of a tank. And this is a 200 tank, or 200 gallon tank, something like that. Maybe more, 250? 300? I don't remember. Alright, so yeah, 721 bucks. So it was more expensive for me to get fuel than it was to repair my truck from the accident that we had. Interesting. Alright, so I'm going to find a parking spot. Once again, this is going to be tough because we have such a weird hinge going on. I don't know if I want to pull into a spot. So we'll see if it lets me, like, it might let me do it back, like, along the road. If it lets me sleep along the road, I'm just going to do that. Yes, it will. Okay. So, and honestly, like, realism-wise, that's probably how somebody would do it. They'd probably stop back here, actually. So they're completely out of the way of the other spots. It's kind of hard, though. I want to get lined up on this curb as well as best I can. There we go. Alright. See, that's not great, though. Doesn't really align super well. That's fine. I can pull forward just a little bit more, but it'll bring it a little closer to the curb. I could have also, like, cut across those spots and parked, like, across, like, 8 of them, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, so we're going to set it to neutral, set the brake. I'm going to turn off my flashers. I'm going to turn off my lights, and turn off my engine. And looking at... It gets so quiet once you do that. When I go over here, we still had 2 hours and 20 minutes left, but honestly, we weren't going to get much further anyway, so then you just hit A once you're in a parking, or when you're in an area that you can park. Time does fast forward. It is midnight now. It resets to 14 hours on the nose, and it'll display any amounts of income you got while you were sleeping. So let's go to this menu real quick. We're going to go through a couple more things before we wrap up. So pretty much when you're on this screen, it's going to tell you what time it is in the game. It's going to tell you what type of job you're doing. Our cargo is the trucks, where you're from, where you're going to, how much time remains before the deadline, how much money it's going to make you. It will also tell you what kind of upgrades you have for both your truck and trailers. If you click on one of these, it just says like per level, like what level are you on. So I'm level 21. So level 21 for Peterbilt's, it unlocks like these things. Volvo's, it does that. At this point, it's more like cosmetic things for me. I've unlocked all like the engines and stuff. And then it gives you the option to set your GPS to the nearest shop, which is kind of nice. Same thing with trailers. It's going to do that. So once again, cosmetic things. And then the job market, that's where you pick up, like that's where you get a job. So quick job is what you do to start the game. You don't own a truck to start the game. So you basically are borrowing both their trailer and their truck. You don't get paid nearly as much to do that. And so you either have to save up money doing these or take out a loan to buy your truck. And then what I think the bulk of the game is, I think most people end up doing the freight market. That's what I do the vast majority of the time. That's where you own your truck, but then you basically go and pick a job and you're using their trailer. And so those seem to pay really well. Cargo market is if you are using a trailer that you own. So you own the trailer and the truck. You have to go somewhere, park the trailer, have them fill the trailer with whatever good it is, drive to the destination, and then have them unload it. And then you take your trailer with you afterwards. I only currently own one trailer, so I've only done a few of those jobs, and I do plan on getting more trailers in the future, potentially different types of trailers, because they have different types of cargo that you can use with them. And then these external markets and contracts I haven't really touched on, but I think these are jobs that like people have made, like in the community. I'm not 100% sure, but that is the different types of jobs. The world map we looked at a few times. Radio, the nice thing is you can import either music you have stored on your computer, or I think you can give a URL for a radio stream. So if you have a you can basically listen to internet radio if you have the right like file or right link or whatever. Otherwise, the music player, you just have to put it in a certain folder, and you can listen to it in-game, like a real radio, which is kind of nice. Email, that's where, honestly, hasn't really done much now. In the early game, I kept overdrafting my account before I got the loan, so that's why I just went ahead and got the loan to start my company. Beyond that, you have a photo studio, which lets you, as it makes it out to be, that's where you can take pictures of your truck or trailer or whatever. Vehicle browser, that lets you like look at other trucks. So you might not own it, but you can kind of go and plan out what you want on there and see kind of how the different options look. This is where you save and load, options, profiles, so you can have multiple profiles. So then up here, I'll show your current truck. You pick somebody at the beginning of the game. That's who I picked. Your level, and then like this is the bulk of what you need is the stuff on this side. So the progress history, I've never actually been on this screen before. So this is looking at your progress in terms of XP. So this is the number of days in game that you've done. So I've done 58 days in game, and so that's kind of the progress in terms of levels that I've had over time. Tells you the amount of time and stuff that you played, roads explored. Free roam distance is like if you don't have a load, like because there might be a time where you're driving between where you dropped off a load and where you pick a new one up. So it's been that much. But yeah, skills is like when you level up, you can pick one of these categories. So you start to get paid more money based on these things. So like a longer distance load, you get more XP and more money. If it's high value, I get, these are all maxed out. And same thing with hazardous materials. So I can pick up any of these types of hazmat loads and get paid more for them. And so I'm kind of just working up these other ones right now. No particular, I'm going in order, but no rhyme or reason for why I'm doing it other than it's just an order. Truck dealers in this game, you got Peterbilt, Volvos, and Kenworths. It's been hinted that they're going to be adding international trucks here with one of the next updates. I don't know if it's going to be included as just part of the update or if it's going to be a DLC type deal. Regardless, I'm pretty sure I'll end up getting it. So this is only going to map the ones that you've actually come across in the game. I guess the other ones are marked as question marks, but you don't know, I guess, necessarily what dealers they are until you've actually driven past them. Trailer purchase, there is no like trailer dealers that you come across. You just do it all online. So you pick the type of trailer you want. Then once you're in here, let's see. Did it save my last one? It did not. So like you come in here and you pick the type of trailer you want, and then once you're in there, you can customize it a lot like a truck. So you could choose like, what color you want it to be, or whatever. But then you can also choose, once again, you can kind of go in here and make sure you choose the one that you want. Style wise, you could choose, like for this type, it could be dry van, which is kind of just standard, insulated, can carry certain types of food, and reefer is your refrigerated one for carrying things that are cold. I've heard that it makes sense. Reefer is the best one you can really get because it can essentially carry everything else. So it could be refrigerated if you want it. It's insulated, obviously, and if you want to carry just regular things, you can. It would just be with the refrigeration unit turned off. And then you could choose kind of how long the trailer is, like where your axles and tandems are. So, you could do a little 28-foot reefer if you want. And from what I understand, the length of the trailer does affect how much stuff you put in it, therefore affecting how much you get paid for a load. So like you would get paid less for filling this thing up than you would for filling up a 53-foot trailer. So makes sense. And then there's a little bit of customization. Anytime you come across one of these bubbles, you can customize it, like in this case, putting more lights on and stuff like that. So we're not going to spend too much more time in here. I'm not in the mood to buy a trailer right now. I'm actually working on beefing up my fleet and buying more garages is what I'm doing. which we'll get that here in a second. So truck upgrades, that's if I want to go in and modify my truck and do whatever. Trailer, same thing. Vehicle adjustments, you can move like where the seat is in terms of camera and whatnot. Diagnostics, we've already been in there. That shows kind of your wear and tear on your vehicle. Truck manager, so down here, this is all about your fleet. So if I go to truck manager, it's going to list everything in my fleet based on the trucks. So I currently have 8 trucks in my fleet. The one in blue is the one I'm currently driving. So I'm not even driving the newest trucks, but as you can see, I kind of bought weaker ones for these guys down here. So I started with Volvos. As you can see, these are in the order I bought them, so progressively getting better horsepower because I was unlocking them at the time. Total distance too, so like my original truck is at 27,000 miles. The driver is, if it's hauling a trailer that we own. So I do own one trailer. It's being currently driven by this individual, and that's where their garage is and what they kind of average per day in terms of profit. These guys are new, so they're going to make a lot less money to start. I did try it at Kenworth. That's when I tried the like flat or the kind of bigger nosed one at the end. And I wasn't a super huge fan of that. So I got out of that pretty quick. Went to a Peterbilt. I really liked that. So I jumped into a bigger Peterbilt, and that's what I'm currently driving. I bought smaller day cab versions for these two people, and they were cheaper. So that's why I didn't, that's why I'm not driving the newest one in my fleet, which honestly, it's like they're all relatively low mile. These ones are all low miles right now. I'm making money decently quick now with all these guys. It's going to get to the point now where, I mean, I'm going to be able to buy a lot more garages and trucks here pretty quick. I'm not 100% sure if like how your truck's configured makes a big difference. So like the fact that these guys only have 370 horsepower engines in that, I don't know if that affects what type of jobs they can take or not. I have to look into that a little bit more. But the nice thing is that I can upgrade these at any time. So if I want to upgrade these and put a better engine in them, I certainly can. And I might end up doing that just anyway. But I currently have 2 garages. We'll get there in a second. So that's the truck manager. Trailer manager, there's only going to be one. I only have the one. It's a dry van. The driver that has it, the truck they're hauling it with, the garage they belong to, and utilization of the trailer itself. So it's 73% utilization. I mean, that's, I guess, halfway decent. It is a 53 foot trailer. So I maximize pretty much the amount of money I can make off of this trailer. In the future, I'd probably buy the refrigerated ones so I can make even more money. He's currently hauling tires. So you can relocate it to a different garage. You can sell it. You can configure it. You can make it private, which basically means that it would stay parked at the garage unless you were there wanting to drive it. And then obviously you can use it if you want. You can copy the config over to another one, so you can basically buy the exact same copy of the exact same trailer. And that's what that one is. Driver manager. See, they're all kind of the same way of looking at the same thing. So this one is now in order of when the person was basically brought on or assigned. And so obviously you're first because you started the company. But then as you can see, I filled out my Las Vegas garage. The most you can have in a garage is 5 once you upgrade it fully. And then I bought a garage over in Olympia, Washington. And I have maxed that out now with 3 people. Well, it's not maxed out. It's maxed out for its current size. I can upgrade the size of the garage to 5. But it's currently maxed out at 3. And then I'll have to expand it or potentially buy a new garage somewhere else. And so that's that. And garage manager, like I said, once again, just different way of looking at the information. So Las Vegas is where I'm currently at, along with these first 4 people I hired. In Olympia, it only has these 3. These last 2 slots are locked until I upgrade it. When you have these garages, you can fast travel between them, so you don't have to actually drive there. So that's kind of nice for getting around the map. And so it'll tell you how many trailers, your daily profit. This one's much lower because I make the bulk amount of profit here. Then your productivity per garage. This one's not very high right now. Partially because there's only 3 people there, and also they're all new. And so they don't make a ton of money as is. As you can see with these ratings, the highest one's 2.5, the other ones are 1.7, as opposed to over here, I'm a 5, this one's 2.5, 4.2, 4.2, and 2.5. So these guys are a little bit higher overall. the bank, that's where you go get loans. So if you go here, I do have a loan out. I just took out a new one. So like I paid off the original one and just took out a bunch of money again. That's how I bought my second garage and 2 trucks all in the same day. So currently working on that. I could borrow up to another $140,000 if I want to. Not gonna worry about that quite now. I'm making enough money now that like I might as well just wait a few days and pay in cash. Recruitment agency, that's how you get more drivers. So you buy a truck, send it to a certain garage, and then you go to the recruitment agency, and then you go in here. I don't know how many slots I know. But this is where you go, and I think by default it's sorted by whoever has the highest driver rating, and then you look at kind of their wages too. So 361 plus 1666 a mile. And so some of those are like, this one's a little bit lower there, but then you also have to consider what their different skills are. So like this guy only has points in 2 categories. There's 3 total here. 3 total here. Not to mention 2 of them are hazardous materials. She's actually not a bad option in my opinion. He isn't either because his is long distance. I do favor long distance myself as opposed to, I don't even know what that one is. Like eco or something, like fuel mileage or something. Fuel economy. And so that's pretty much it. And then with trucks and trailers, you can only buy them online. Trucks, once you buy 3, I think you buy the rest of them online if you want to, or you can go to a dealer. And then with garages, I don't know what the limit is, but I haven't made it there yet. I only have 2. It might be 3. But after a certain point, you can start buying garages online too. As it stands right now, I have to actually drive to wherever I want to buy the garage and purchase it. I think my next one's going to be in Farmington. There's a lot of really cool, like larger machinery type loads that come out of there. And so, and I've noticed that's been pretty consistent. So that's probably where I'll put the next one. Las Vegas is where my first one was. So it'd be, different, 2 states away. So that's nice. The other one that I have is all the way up here in Olympia. So it's really far away from Vegas. And so eventually I want to I think my goal is to get a garage in each state. And then beyond that, just kind of adding them wherever I want. So that's probably where we're going to leave things off for today. It was kind of fun coming back here onto YouTube and doing a stream this way. But like I said, we're going to be back on Mixer as soon as I can get that code. And then I'll probably just start basically exporting the VODs over to YouTube again. But yeah, that's where we're going to cut off for today. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys later.